What's up, everybody? Another YouTube video on our Bronco build. So we're doing a Gen 2 full-size Bronco with the new Ford Godzilla 7.3 liter big block. Pretty cool truck. We're just getting into it now, so I was going to give you a little chance to see the latest updates and take a look at the truck, and we'll talk a little bit about the motor today. So there's the truck. You can see the guys are busy this week, basically strip down phase. So pulled the stock drivetrain, cleaned the underhood. Basically, if we zoom in a little closer here, you can see there's very little left here. We strip all the wiring, strip all the hardware, bag, tag everything, disposition it in terms of it's going to get painted, powder coated, plated, etc. Put it all away and get ready kind of for the fabrication stage here. So we got a nice clean empty engine bay, and we're going to go from here. A couple things to note in this build. On the Ford power steering box, driver side frame rail, that's going to be something we look at a lot as we drop the big block in. And up here, the booster's off, but that's where the booster mounts, and it's pretty large diameter. So we're going to be watching if we can use power boost or if we have to go to a hydro boost setup. And of course, general kind of exhaust clearance to frame rails and the steering shaft there, things like that. So with the truck ready, worked on getting the engine ready today. So I'm going to come back here, we'll take a look at it. Sitting on the table back here, the big old Godzilla. So this engine, as you guys have heard me say, it's a 7.3 liter. It's brand new. It is out of the current F-Series, F-250, F-350 pickups. So we're trying to do a build now where we use as many factory parts as we can. This is really a kind of a cost decision, first off. Using factory parts is a little bit cheaper. There is a really nice front-end accessory drive setup from Indy Power Products, but it's a little spendy, and it's really designed for car installations. It's super compact. It's pretty slick, but probably more than we need for a truck. So we're trying to keep to Ford stock front end here. So we picked up a few of the main components. First one I'll start with up here, the alternator. So you can see that's kind of high mount on the driver's side in front of the valve cover there. That is basically out of the Ford van body application. And picked up that alternator and bracket. Keeps the original belt tensioner and idler pulley. And coming down below it, we have the power steering pump. So this is like the F-Series, F-250 power steering. Basically a Saginaw pump, nothing too special about it. So pump bolts straight onto the front of that engine, kind of front housing, 3 bolts, real simple. And so that's all stock basically. So everything on the driver's side is stock, you know, Ford, E-Series, F-Series stuff. On the passenger side, we had to come up with an air conditioning solution. So the original variable displacement compressor that comes on the engines, if you were to buy it, is not really compatible with a vintage air type system. So we wanted to go to a simpler Sandin SD7. So that's this little tight package SD7. This is pretty much what everybody in the aftermarket uses. And we were able to get a bracket set up from the guys at Power by the Hour. So they specialize in a lot of swap components. And they developed this kind of tight little bracket system to mount the Sandin. You can see it's kind of right under that idler pulley and right next to that belt tensioner. So as we zoom out, it's super tight. The compressor is well within the envelope of the exhaust manifold. Pretty high up. It's above the oil pan rail on the bottom of the block. So a really nice little package. So now we got a Godzilla with a front end that has power steering, alternator, and air conditioning. Everything we need. And then, of course, the water pump system is here, and we're going to be bolting the stock mechanical fan onto that. So engine is pretty much ready to go. As we get into putting this into the chassis, the next question is mounting. So down here on the table, I've got a couple things laid out. This is the stock passenger side engine mount. So there's big cast bracket and then a rubber mounted, it's kind of rubber inside of a sleeve with the wings on it, you can see there. So the passenger one, when you lay it out, it's gonna kind of sit at an angle like that. It's kind of hard to see. Over on the driver's side, it's a little different. So same idea, it's a large cast bracket, but this one has the big round rubber donut piece with studs straight out the bottom. They're interchangeable left or right, so we're going to pick which one we like best, see if there's a synergy in using, you know, the same one on both sides, and figure out how we're going to mount kind of an adapter off the frame rail to grab those guys. So we want to use stock motor mounts. Again, they're heavily tested by Ford for durability and lasting for 250,000 miles, and they also help just keep engine vibration down. So that's kind of the plan. Motor is pretty much ready to be hoisted up in the air. We're going to put the trans on the back and then start fitting the thing. We'll talk more about the trans later, but just suffice to say it's the Tremec TR4050. It's 5-speed overdrive manual. We've got a new clutch setup, which is basically kind of Ford modular components, and a new bell housing from Quick Draw brand. So mounting all that together and putting it into the truck is kind of next week's goal, and see if we can get the engine positioned, figure out exactly where we want it, left to right, front to back, and then fabricate kind of permanent mounting and get it sitting in there on the weight of the suspension, you know, and have everything come together. So stay tuned. There'll be more YouTube videos coming up. Thanks for watching. If you have comments about the hardware or about the build, just drop them below. We'll try to respond as best we can, keep up with things. See you next time.